before you are going to enter the garden, to which the new batch of squash are actually being planted. It is going to be a nice scene if you're going to have a glimpse of our mango here. There's a mango plant here. Likewise, at the entrance, I intently allowed this tree to grow to serve as a protection of our plantation, because one of the interesting feature of this plant is it has thorns in it, and you will be able to see the flexibility of this plant because it bent towards the entrance, and it really serves as a barrier. In fact, there is also another one that is so rigid, it grew upwardly, and it springs its branches towards the corners and each side of it. And we also have here too, which I customized it to stand also. Okay, so I'm giving to you now the update of our squash, because yesterday we were not able to feature the squash because my battery was running out of charge. So this time you're seeing this one. Good to see you. Good to see you today, this morning. Okay, you are seeing this one too. Hmm. You can notice today, guys, that there is a fresh display of leaves, right? It means that the food manufacturing of the leaves in itself, most particularly in the squash, is really going on. And I remember yesterday night, I really soaked this particular plant in water. In fact, it even reached here. You can see the traces of the water that it was even absorbed by the soil up to this very portion. This too also. Wow. So this one is actually growing slender, perhaps because of the barricades and the structures that surrounds it. That's a really a tendency of the plant. If they are being barricaded, and if there is something that hinders them, the tendency is that they have to grow in a lengthier manner but slender. But that's their adaptation, and once they are going to be comfortable in a certain location wherein they have reached a certain point wherein they are free to grow, then the plants normally will regularize its growth, and hoping that when the vine is going to reach a certain height, then it will deliberately have a proportionate growth. But this one, wow, this is unaffected by the barricades here. And one of the barricades that I did, I actually planted a post here the other week. This is moringa, and you can see the moringa here. Wow, it already have new leaves. And I believe moringa really is sweet because you can see here there are ants. You can see the ants. Yeah, these are the ants here. So one of the features that we need to understand this time around is that the squash started to have develop in itself a hook. We remember that during the time that we were growing squash, there are really hooks, and the hooks help them to climb and stabilize its placing, especially if they are climbing to a certain height. So this is it, and we are happy to announce that our squash really is positively growing. So another interesting batch of squash here is this one. Yeah, even though you can notice at the summit there are actually shades of kamachili, and that's the reason that I pruned a lot of its branch so that the sunshine is going to even reach to this point. And I believe the paleness of its color was the reason, was the output why, mm, there is paleness of its color, because there are shades. And in anticipation of its growth that is upwardly, because we are lacking of space in here. But of course, if they are growing like horizontally, but most of the squash that we have been growing before, it is actually upwardly or vertically, because of the lack of space. That is why, alongside with the other, at my back, there is actually a moringa also post that I have placed, and here there's another moringa, and let us see whether it is also showing new leaves. Actually, there are new leaves, but it's located at the summit of it. hmm So I am foreseeing it to be, establishing a post and a support system to our squash, like this one. So the other time also I pruned, the kamachali, and some of the young leaves fell here, and I haven't submerged it, only few of it. So one of the targets is to clean up this particular section here, and to submerge all the garbage, all the leaves, so that it will decompose and it will become a fertilizer. And normally the root system of the squash or any roots of plants are looking for nutrients. And when I unearthed, this particular section yesterday, I unearthed it. I really have seen the labor, the fruits of our labors, because I saw the decomposing, um, flesh of the dates. And wow, it became like part of the soil, because its color was dark, and it was already decomposed. So I am readying, yeah, for the boom of the growth of this squash in itself. See, this one is actually like a trial and error only, because if you're going to notice, there are concrete barrier here. And I don't know, maybe perhaps during the time of the first people who were inhabiting here, perhaps they are just pouring a leftover of the concrete anywhere, because this is actually unstructured. It means that I think it's unplanned. And when I tried to dig in here, that portion really was so hard, so I have to cut through here just to fit in this particular squash. And fortunately it fit in. So when I dig deeper, oh, I could sense that there are still portions of it which is all soil. So make it possible for this particular squash to grow. Since this squash is actually part of the first batches that we planted in here, so it is expected that the hook, there's already a hook. You can see the hook here. Yeah, there are two here in this batch, and you will be able to see a gradual competition. The other one is growing in a length that is somewhat like domineering in comparison to the other one. So another dominant squash you can see here, right? And wow, the hook is fully developed. So the thing is, its direction is actually going towards this post here. Oh my goodness, it means that I need really to fix this particular section here, especially the posts, because the hook is already showing its way towards the summit. And oh, there's in fact, you see, there's in fact a hook that grew ahead, and it already fixed in itself towards the lift. Aha. The single lift there. Aha. This one also. Well, aside from the squash in itself, I think I can see here some of the growth, small growth, and I suspected these are actually chili because I remember I also planted chili here, and in fact, there's also another one. This is very tiny. This one, and a mungo seed that grew. Wow. Another experiment that I did is actually in this particular section also, because this is part of the concrete barrier. You can see, I'll show it to you. Yeah, this actually, so you can hear that. It's actually concrete. So I cut through just to form like a synchronization in its line, and I cut through here and put the squash and say a little prayer that it will grow, and it grew as you can see right now. And this one also, wow. um I really saw here right now a patterns of growth which sometimes very fast, sometimes is lower. It depends upon perhaps the soil and its nutrients, and of course the seedlings that you transplanted here. Last year I saw actually a leaf of a squash that is so huge, and right now I begin to witness, wow, a leaf of a squash that seemed to be unaccommodated in its size, and to my camera it's getting bigger and wider, and I am happy to duplicate such efforts last year. So in here also, yeah, you are seeing another squash here that is being planted. Another squash. Wow. This squash seemed to be very happy as it glided because of the gentle breeze. It's cold now. Wow, it's so nice to witness, the growth and development, especially this one also. It is readying itself to even climb. Anyway, the structure is already ready for it to climb up. I mean to climb because it's already up. I mean to climb. We're not going to be redundant here. Aha. We're not going to be redundant, because we hear sometimes a politician who is saying that she actually went down and then bumaba. Ah, it's redundant in itself. Now, of course, it is readying itself to climb. Wow, there's another one that is ready also to climb, so we are so happy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, alongside with this squash, there is a sweet potato that grew. Can we just allow it? Because it it really is persistent to grow alongside with the squash. This one too. Mm-hmm. This one too. Wow. And this one too, growing so good. Mm-hmm. This one too. Where are we? So this time in this particular section, these squash are now exposed to sunlight. So um that is why at the height of the temperature, it's somewhat like being affected by the temperature, and you can see here there is a tendency for it to get wilted. Better that yesterday I watered it. See, the other time that we have forgotten to water, it wilted the leaf. Hmm. Wow. Okay, we still have here. Okay. Our receptacle here is almost full with water. Good. This is struggling actually, so praying that it will recover very soon. And what I did here in this particular section, I cleared it with some obstacles so that sunlight is going to penetrate to them. Wow, there's one. And careful because I dug a pit yesterday here. Wow. So this time around in this section, these are actually newly planted, and I remember planting here or replanting here last Saturday, and today is another Saturday. So you are not going to expect like full development similar with what I had featured earlier today, but these are actually newly transplanted squash, and well, they are growing so well. Wow, another one here, and well, another one here, another one, yes, another one here. Wow, and two more sets. Why I said sets? Because we're not just simply counting the number of plant. We are counting sets because sometimes sets are three and two, so like that. So far, guys, so from that corner up to this corner, we have squash. So from the left side and then to the right side, we're not planting in between because it will hinder us as we're going to supervise our plantation. So that's one thing that we have to learn. You have to put some space for you to walk in. You have to put some allowances of space so that the plant also can breathe in. So we're going to grow it vertically. In fact, we already have fences here, and it's being positioned for for us to be able to see the growth of the squash vertically, and also it serves as a support system to our squash at its growth. So thank you guys for watching SAS TV official. This video might be lengthy, but thank you for joining us today.